Gerard Khalil is a YouTuber known as the Completionist. As this name entails, Gerard seeks to complete each game that he plays and review what that game has to offer with witty scripts, a likable personality, and top quality. On March 18th, 2020, Gerard released a video outlining his frustrations with YouTube, but also his issues with a defining component to his channel. In this video, Gerard said something that made me think. He said,
"Well, I think random thoughts. Cheese is not real."
He also said,
"So I want to talk about Persona 5. I could have been done with Persona 5 years ago because of the fact that completing the game only requires 2 or 3 playthroughs at most, with getting all the platinum trophies and such. However, in my research, I found that if a true completionist's run is that I have to beat the game no less than 10 times. I want to be able to say that I, without a question of a doubt, completed this game 100% and got everything. But people don't often know what that means.
This brings up a very interesting question, and that is, when is a game considered complete? Well, today I'm going to attempt to answer that question. First, let me ask that if you enjoy this video, to please like this video and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out with
the algorithm.
Cheese.
This issue of what counts for completion ultimately became very apparent to the Completionist when he tried completing Persona 5. Persona 5 contains an option to romance characters, and at a late point within the game, on Valentine's Day, you get a specific item that's different for every romance option. You can romance multiple characters in one playthrough, but if you do, you cannot receive multiple Valentine's Day gifts. So this means that you would need to play the game several times, 10 to be exact, in order to get all of the Valentine's gifts. And I mean, this game is long. The issue that the Completionist then faced is this: does he have to receive every Valentine's Day gift in order to actually complete the game? So let's try and answer that and see what it means to complete a game. But instead of just giving one answer, I'm gonna give you 3. I'm basically a politician.
Well, you've just taken up a minute with that answer, which has told us absolutely nothing. If the police are called to your home, it makes it every...
But before I do that, let's first establish why completion is such a slippery word. Oh, it's gone. Well, I believe that people would come to the consensus that completion is when a game is finished completely, obviously. But the issue is, what is included in that completion? Well, the most obvious answer is everything, Maverick. What are you, a f***ing dumb bitch ass? Sure, but everything is an insanely onerous and broad word. So to elaborate, let's look at Pokemon. Pokemon has a ridiculous amount of Pokemon to collect in each title, and each game has shiny variations of these creatures, which is just the same Pokemon but with a different look. Like, take the Pokemon Charizard. This is normal and this is a shiny. Same with Lillipup. This is normal and this is a shiny and this is, no, wait. This is a... Let's take this definition of everything that Gerard used for thinking that the Valentine's Day gifts might all be required for completion and instead place it on Pokemon. Imagine having to collect all Pokemon, which if they were all in one title would be 898? Good God. Also, you would need to capture all of their shiny versions, which would then come to the total of 1,796 Pokemon. It's a lot, but people surely do that. But do you have to get each gender of every Pokemon? For the sake of ease, we're making an assumption that each Pokemon has an opposite gender variation, even though it's not true for all of them. But I understand that, all right? Don't leave the comment. Let's further expand. If every Pokemon were in one game, you'd have to collect their shiny, each gender, and you must also get each gender's shiny. This comes to collecting 3,592 Pokemon. But we're not done, because there are also different natures to Pokemon, 25 to be exact. So now our number comes to 89,300 Pokemon to collect in max. I hope you now see why saying that everything must be collected and completed in a game in order to complete it is too fucking much to ask. But our issue, like I said before, is what counts then? Is the gender of a Pokemon a significant enough difference in order to reach completion? What about natures? Or what about games with randomly generated content like No Man's Sky, Diablo, or even Dungeons in Persona? Do you have to see all potential combinations of every randomly generated instance to have completed the game? Again, this is all why we need parameters here, because in the broadest meaning of everything, games become almost impossible to really complete. So, to attempt to answer what counts as completing a game, let's start with my first type of completion, and that's reward-based completion. Reward-based completion just means that you've achieved every reward possible within a title, and doing so then means that you completed the game. A reward in this context is defined as anything that is an achievable benefit within a game. So this would include getting every item in a game, since that would be considered a reward. A reward, under this definition, needs to be different in kind and in what it takes to achieve that reward. So if completing a challenge in a game gives you an item, and then completing it again would give you the same item, you would only need to complete it once, since the benefit has already been received and the challenge is the same. With our Pokemon example, you definitely would need to get every shiny of every Pokemon. You still get into the issue of whether you need to get both genders, but since the reward itself is the same in quality and in what it takes to achieve it, then it's acceptable to not get all Pokemon in both genders. I mean, it would be akin to saying that you didn't receive every Pokemon in the game because you didn't receive every different natured version of the same Pokemon. Like, there's no difference in the reward between a brave Metapod and, like, I don't know, a naughty Metapod. Oh my god. However, we still get into the same issue with the Completionist and Persona, because each Valentine's Day item has a different name. Is that a different reward? Even though it has the same usage of restoring the same amount of HP? Well, I'd say yes, since it's now different in what it takes to achieve the item, even if it's the same in the usage. I think you now know why the Completionist was having such a hard time with defining completion. So, since this type of completion doesn't solve our problem with Persona, let's move on to the next, which is experience-based completion. This type of completion is a bit more subjective, but it defines completion by experiencing all different experiences that a game has to offer. An experience in this context is defined as every different set of events that is included within a game. This would mean that you need to view and experience every different event that a game includes. Let's use an example with Final Fantasy VII Remake. To complete this game, you would need to see every possible cutscene, every battle, and do so on all difficulties, since they provide a different experience. So this means you would need to hug walls for precisely 758,000 hours.
Cheese.
This is more inclusive because it's easy to imagine something in a game that doesn't give you a reward, but you would think would be necessary for completion, like viewing an alternate ending that doesn't give you a reward. But because this is more broad, it also includes some things that seem a bit ridiculous to include in completion. Like, is it a different experience to see every potential dialogue option in a game? I'd say yes. Or in open world games, to view every inch of a map? Probably, yeah. Oh, shoot. Star Ocean Till the End of Time was really ahead of itself. You have to touch every edge of the map? Oh god, my perfectionist in me is giving me a panic attack. Oh my god. Hot dog. Oh, hot dog, please. Please call someone, hot dog. Hot dog, please. I hate you. We also, again, get into the issue with Persona. I think it's even easier to argue that with this definition, every Valentine's Day date is included for completion. Not because of the item that you receive, but because they're each different from one another with regards to the dialogue and experience that it provides with each character in order to achieve that item. So that leads us to the final and definitely more pragmatic approach to completion, and that's intent-based completion. Intent-based completion is based on the intent of the creators of the game. This means that you must do all that the creator intended for you to do in order to complete the game. To discern the intent of the creators, we can look to plenty of different factors, such as in-game milestone achievements and trophies outside of the game. For Pokemon, getting every Pokemon does have a milestone attached, so it's clear that the creators intended for that to be completed. The same is true for the shinies. However, getting every Pokemon of every nature and gender doesn't have an equivalent milestone, so it isn't needed for completion. You can get into some issues here too, though. Like, what if it's clear that the creators didn't intend for players to beat a game on every difficulty, which our experience-based definition would have included? Well, these These are the kind of sacrifices we have to make to have a workable definition of completion. Both the reward-based definition and experience-based definition have, honestly, unworkable definitions. They make a lot of games impossible to complete, even if they're more specific than the broadest definition of just do everything. So let's go back to our persona test again. Would this intent-based definition make you collect all Valentine's Day gifts? Well, no. No, it wouldn't. There's no clear intent that the creators of Persona wanted you to collect all Valentine's gifts. There's no milestone attached or an outside reward or any indication that the game is guiding you to do this. Even in Persona 5 Royal, where they added more milestones in the Thieves' Den, there's no milestone for this. Frankly, because it's a f***ing ridiculous ask, Gerard spent 500 hours on the game and still wasn't able to get all the items. So do what the game is clearly pushing you to do, but doing outside stuff like getting every item or experiencing everything a game has to offer is just too much. It becomes too onerous and makes completion relatively impossible. I made this to show anyone that, not only for sanity's sake, there really is a workable definition of completion that isn't murky or overly specific or overly broad. The intent-based definition, I believe, provides a clear and workable rule. Let's make no mistake though, the definition isn't what really matters in the end, even though I just made a video about it. What matters is the dedication that Gerard Khalil has when he completes a game. He was literally willing to forgo his sanity over the span of a year to try and complete Persona 5. The amount of games that he's reviewed and discussed is massive, and the amount of time and dedication that he spends on his work is extremely commendable. I think if there's anything you can learn from this video, it's the dedication that it takes to complete a game, and the dedication that Gerard Khalil has to do so. So check out his channel if you haven't, and I'll let him have the final words.
I feel happy seeing people enjoy what I make. It genuinely is the best part of the job. Actually, cheese is real. Cheese. I hate you.